so far.
What do I hear from behind the door?
And
What do I hear from
looking at
behind
you,
the door?
and
What
you are so
do
far
I hear?
away.
What do I hear from behind the door? What do
Looking at you, and you are
I'm
so
very
far
happy to be here. I'm very happy to see you. We'll have a few engagements around a question. Perhaps the question will move around the term catalyst, which is a cipher, a word that was hinged today that I saw while I was practicing. What brings together two artists, one who's sitting in that stack somewhere, Adrian Piper, who thinks about flying and writes about flying, slash between dreaming as a kind of moment or a morphed move, a kind of impulsive mode, modular, makeup, mount, moss.
What do I hear from behind the door?
All I'm doing here is attempting to honor. All I'm doing is trying to do something other than inure. All I'm doing is trying to figure out a way back into the corpuscle. You know, the capsule, the capillary, the cap in that as, to risk. You know, to risk. You know what it means to risk, to move forward into the abyss. I learned a few things while watching that video with Maury Evans that has to do with multiple iterations of the black body, which means I may be speaking like this in the mode of a poet, or I might be speaking not at a podium, but at a lectern. One victim of this performance has been the podium. One victim is now the corpse, the coffin, the coffer. You do have a tipping jar. We do have a tipping point. We have an axis. We have an axes. We have an axiomatic relationship between the punctum and the studium. You know him, Roland. You know me now, a little bit, Ronaldo. I'm usually a little bit more friendly. I'm usually not filled with such capriciousness. I'm appreciative of all of the things that have to do with the poetic line, which draws me a little bit forward, like scooting, like the cotillion, like...
What do I hear from behind the door? What do I hear? What do I hear from behind the door? What do I hear?
I made a movie for you. I made a movie-o. I made a movie-o for you. I made a movie for you. I made a move into the palimpsest. I made a move over sandwiches today at a desk with Carl Pope. He suggested this, the palimpsest. Or maybe it was Kurt who brought out that very video machine and thought, let's spread the image over the screen. Let's see what the machinations might be between the image and the text. I sat today for several, probably 45 to 50 minutes in front of that very...
What do I hear from behind the door? What do I hear? What do I hear from behind the door? What do I hear? What do I hear from behind? What do I hear?
I'm looking
What
at
do
you,
I hear
and you are
from
so far
behind the door? What
away.
do I hear behind the door?
You know, no matter what you do, there's always the lectern. No matter what you do, there's always the apparatus that separates me from you from it from the object, the occasion from the synthesis from the moment from the tarantula, the torrential, the storm, the moment between the incision and the cut between the porous moment between the gratitude, the thankfulness, the failure, the equivalencies. There you have me somewhere in Emeryville. Did I think that I would be here if we do not access information? How can we put it into words? Of course, words do fail. Of course, language fails. We learn this sometimes from poets like Myung-Mi Kim. We learn this sometimes from critics like Gina Dent, who writes about joy in that anthology up on that counter over there that's counting all the ways back into the palimpsest, the modes back into the layering of blackness. You too are familiar with it. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's a kind of vacancy. It's an exigency. It's the extolling hatred that we like to think of as manner. It's the thing that guides our manners when we pull our chairs back, and here it is, a yellow chair. We need to elevate. We need to congratulate. We need to figure out a way back in. We need to not. We need to. You know the secret. The secrets can often be told between allies, between aliases. I'll give you a few examples here in a recent track.
Programs designed to quietly take control of your devices. With your computer, install only apps that you need and make sure that you download them from trusted sources. Criminals can create apps that look real but are actually malicious programs designed to quietly take control of your devices. With your computer, install only apps that you need and make sure that you download them from trusted sources. Criminals can create apps that look real but are actually malicious programs designed to quietly take control of your devices. With your computer, install only apps that you need and make sure that you download them from trusted sources. Criminals can create apps that look real but are actually malicious programs.
Your computer will most likely become infected.
If you are hacked.
Unfortunately,
Often when
there
your
is no
computer
simple
or
way
your
to
account
tell
is
if a
compromised,
website is safe.
cyber criminals
So
take
it is
steps to
important
make
to
it
take some
difficult for you
simple
to find
precautions.
out.
First,
Your computer
most
may
browsers
be
maintain a
programmed
list of
to
known
lie to you,
malicious
to tell you
websites
everything
that
is
intend
okay.
to cause you harm.
However,
If you
here are some
accidentally
things you can
visit
look
one
for
of these
as
known
indicators
websites,
you've
your
been
browser
hacked.
will post a
The faster
warning
you
like you
realize
see
you
here.
have been hacked,
If your
and the
browser
faster you
warns you
notify
against
someone and
visiting a
respond,
website like
the
this,
less
do not
damage
connect
cyber
to
criminals can do.
These techniques for
Unfortunately,
attacking
there is
your
no
browser.
simple way to
A common
determine if
technique
you are
they
hacked.
use is to place tools
Often when your
designed to hack
computer
into
or your account
browser
is
on
compromised,
websites that you
cyber
may visit.
criminals take
The
steps
malicious
to make it
tools then
difficult for you to
silently
find
probe
out.
your browser and launch
Your
multiple
computer may
attacks
be
when you visit
reprogrammed
the site.
to lie to you,
If your
to tell
browser
you
or
everything
any
is
of your
okay.
plugins are outdated
However,
or vulnerable,
here are some things
your
you can look
computer
for
will most
as
likely
indicators
become
you have
infected.
been hacked. The faster you realize
There
you
is
have
no
been
simple
hacked,
way to tell
and the
if a
faster you
website is
notify
safe.
someone and
So
respond,
it is
the
important
less
to take some
damage cyber
simple
criminals can do.
precautions.
Unfortunately,
Most
there is no
browsers
simple
maintain a
way to
list of
determine
known
if you are
malicious
hacked.
websites that
Often when your
intend to cause
computer
you
or
harm.
your account is
If you
compromised,
accidentally
cyber
visit
criminals
one of
take
these known
steps to
websites,
make it
your
difficult for you
browser
to
will
find
post
out.
a warning like you see
Your
here.
computer may be
If your browser
reprogrammed
warns
to
you
lie
against
to you,
visiting a
to tell
website
you
like
everything
this,
is
do
okay.
not connect to it.
However, here are some things you can look for as indicators you have been hacked. The faster you realize you have been hacked, and the faster you notify someone and respond, the less damage cyber criminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are
If your
hacked.
browser or any
Often
of
when your
plugins
computer
are
or your
outdated
account is
or vulnerable,
compromised,
your
cyber
computer
criminals
will
take
most
steps
likely
to make it
become
difficult for
infected.
you to find out.
Unfortunately, there
Your
is no
computer
simple
may be
way to tell if a
reprogrammed
website
to
is
lie
safe.
to you,
So
to tell
it
you
is
everything
important
is
to take
okay.
some simple precautions.
However, here are some things you can
Most
look for
browsers
as
maintain a list
indicators
of
you have
known
been hacked.
malicious
The
websites
faster you
that intend
realize
to
you have
cause
been
you harm.
hacked, and the faster you notify
Accidentally
someone
visit
and
one of
respond,
these known
the less
websites,
damage
your
cyber
browser will
criminals
post
can
a
do.
warning like you see
Unfortunately,
here.
there is no
If your
simple way
browser
to
warns you
determine
against
if you are
visiting a
hacked.
website like this,
Often
do
when
not
your
connect
computer
to
or
it.
your account is compromised, cyber criminals take steps to make it difficult for you to find out. Your computer may be reprogrammed to lie to you, to tell you everything is okay. However, here are some things you can look for as indicators you have been hacked. The faster you realize you have been hacked, and the faster you notify someone and respond, the less damage cyber criminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are hacked.
is important.
Often when your computer or your account is compromised, cybercriminals take steps to make it difficult for you to find out. Your computer may be reprogrammed to lie to you, to tell you everything is okay. However, here are some things you can look for as indicators you have been hacked. The faster you realize you have been hacked, and the faster you notify someone and respond, the less damage cybercriminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are hacked. Often when your computer or your account is compromised, cybercriminals take steps to make it difficult for you to find out. Your computer may be reprogrammed to lie to you, to tell you everything is okay. However, here are some things you can look for as indicators you have been hacked. The faster you realize you have been hacked, and the faster you notify someone and respond, the less damage cybercriminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are hacked. Often when your computer or your account is compromised, cybercriminals take steps to make it difficult for you to find out. Your computer may be reprogrammed to lie to you, to tell you everything is okay.
It's just like being at home.
However, here are some things you can look for as
It's just like being at home
the faster
when you've
you
lost your
realize you've
glasses.
been hacked, and the
It's
faster
just
you
like
notify
being at
someone and
home.
respond, the less damage cybercriminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are hacked. Often when your computer or your account
So,
is compromised,
as I was
cybercriminals
saying,
take steps to make it difficult for you to find out.
or as I
Your
was
computer may
reminding
be reprogrammed to
myself
lie to
and you,
to tell you everything is okay. However, here are some things you can look for as indicators you have been hacked. The faster you realize you have been hacked,
how afraid are we of our breaths? How afraid are we of the symptom of our conditions? How afraid are we of the condition which belies the truth of our restlessness, not for fear of being active, but for fear of being too much so, such is the case when Maury Evans talks about the predicament. Is it here?
you can look for as indicators you have been hacked. The faster you realize you have been hacked, and the faster you notify someone and respond, the less damage cybercriminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are hacked.
Of course.
Often when your computer or your account is
Are we,
compromised,
as African Americans, on a mission?
difficult for you to find out. Your computer may be reprogrammed to lie to you, to tell you everything is okay.
So I'll just talk to you.
Here are some
So
things you can
one of the reasons why,
indicators you have been hacked.
I'll just talk to you.
Faster you realize
One of the reasons why I like to complicate myself when I'm giving a poetry reading is I like to refigure the mode of precariousness, the mode of precarity, the endangered, to be on the run, so that the breath has the shape of not the poem, not the lecture, not the intention of saying, this is what I know, this is what I think. These are the consequences of this course of study, such is the relationship between studying and intuition, or instinct, or perhaps even in sincerity, perhaps even sensation as mode. When my breath comes back, when I've decided to eat better, when I've decided not to fly so much, perhaps I will tell you a story from the moment of the occasion that begins not with an argument, but instead with melody. Perhaps this is the center of the work, which presupposes the poem as the center of its universe. What is the title of this show? If I asked you the title of this show, could you chant it for me? Could you whisper it for me? Do you know the title of the show? This isn't a quiz, this is a test. There's a difference. The difference is, this is what they say in the cottage industry, low risk. You're not being graded. You're not being evaluated. Do you know the name of the show in which you are attending, in which you are in attendance? Do you? Can you say it? Can you sing it?
You notify someone and respond, the less damage
You're mumbling, but that's okay. I know it's not always the easiest. We'll try it again. If you don't know it, you can hum a song that approximates your desire to be here with me and all of you at the same time. We'll try it again. Turn those frowns upside down. Make yourself smile and learn the occasion of your being here, which is to enjoy the show. Maybe it's something that you didn't know. Maybe it's something that you want to know. Maybe it's something that's impulsive as the fact of your activities in the bathroom moments before you rushed here. Go to that place, wherever you feel, hold in your mind every ideal. Why did I say the vowels were confused by the consonants? The title of the show is Clarity.
There is no simple way to determine if you are
Clarity, such shy little people in your hearts. It's okay, we're just getting started.
I will still reward you with a story.
reprogrammed to lie to you. To
We have to change that.
However, here are some
Oh,
things
yeah.
to look for as indicators.
Oh, I didn't put this thing on.
The faster you realize you have been hacked,
Too late?
the faster you notify someone and respond, the less damage cyber criminals can do. Unfortunately, there is no simple way to determine if you are hacked.
Let's take a little break.
Often when your computer or
While
your
we get
account
this
is
going, I'll give
compromised,
you a treat.
cyber criminals take steps to make it difficult for you to find out. Your computer may be reprogrammed to lie to you.
Oh, she's too much.
There's a slaughter
I
everywhere.
thought of this
There's a
was
slaughter
refrain.
somewhere.
I thought of this
There's a slaughter
refrain.
everywhere.
I thought
There's a
of
slaughter
these questions.
somewhere.
I thought of these. I thought of
There's a
these.
slaughter somewhere.
Toes.
There's a slaughter
I thought of
everywhere.
these.
There's a slaughter
hanging.
somewhere. There is a
I
vestige
thought of
of
your
my despair.
history.
There is a way we hold each
I was
other
reminded.
It's too very, 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 very sad. I'm going to read to you. I'm going to try to read from this new book, which will be coming out some point before I die. I hope. This calling all gibberish cars, and it began one day after I realized that I was sick and tired of the essay as the go-to mode, and you fake it all the way in no advancements in form towards freedom and luxury. So it is, too, the glee in your fantan and your dirty quartet, car, smuck pun, or son to can coup rationale, in the wake of the need for plumbers and folk at all sorts of letters trying to hogwash my freedom, I decided to do some double twisting clum dum-dums on the sassafras geos. It is my intention that the gun go will not be loaded in the ghost scum papal unconscious res biofeed fatties are now fatter than ever because of the meat Studies show, and the microbiotics from language fails at times. Language fails the reader. It has no teeth, but it is all white man, crabby gabby, don't you know? Don't you know, crabby nappy, apple appy? Skin bleached, I used to have god hair, then it started to itch. Drip, sink, clutter beam, sanitize the pad of extremes, memes, old, baleen, race scene, a double of that, a dash of sassafras. Mean girl tried to be mean, is right on the beam. Smile pox, pucker sun tum, sump pump, blast the sash. Clean gas, ghouls, and mesmerizing the gibberish, gobbled spit the gook, attempts to hire force against the AK-47, strong fire, against the morning whites who punch and grab like never before. Do not snore on this with yet another essayistic stance. Send in the drones, send in the drones. Send in the drones. No C10, no si a gong da dong, no me, tu dan me, tu does you know, oh you know. The accent mom is never or has never been annoying. E-yong, yong, e-yong, yong. When I was a young boy, I looked at a catalog at drawings of many fashionable things and dreamed of being able to shop there and to buy a pair of white pleated pants. But in the end, I realized that I was unable to do so because I was broke. I am restricted to not responding to these maddening posts on the fate smelt because I do not own anything beyond your memory mixtures, and do not want to announce when I can let my racket do the talking. So it is imperative that Brainy Smurf had it right. He had it right in that cancer of his imagination. Ni sa konti du yon far mi sundo de lar da la. That was an anthem. And what happened when you smash the brain flat and you need to communicate, Wabich, who do you think in the end you are courting? And is this the conscription of your freedom? The more and more your mind, the more and more your gibberish. How dare they put you in front of me as if this is the kind of visibility of the racist tract. Once this study is a mirror of the moment, I refuse to participate in this game that has no integrity. In the end, none. I am sick of this Holiday Inn bullshit where you just make shit up according to your whims and start sweeping. Clean up the gum too, scrape it. My mom, she wiped asses and pulled tubes out, and my dad ate oatmeal and crashed cars and broke spines, and you peeked out of a door and thought you saw something clever. In the end, you are a hick on a stick, big dick, who care, pilot, I, or oh, you dumb, dim, cough, yellow phlegm is my goddess. Come on, go do your gibberish downstairs, stop song. I look into a place that it could be Marante. I don't remember that melody. I look into a place that is called Marante. I look into a place that is called Marante. Marante, 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 Yomite. Nelum, there is all, ain't there is all, the amanga. There is all a manga, there is all a manga. It was apparent in this land called Capitu. It was apparent in this land called Capitu. Capitu. Oh, Capitu. It was apparent in this land. In the land Sardo, monasteries are erect and bills are cons, but of course there's the Tantan that leads the Pontos and Mongos. They are there too, but in Tharms and Goans, gibberish, shake and shake, gibberish rhyme, rhythm polyglot in fun times. Paramars and spelunks, a dunk, American runs on Duncan. Berlin don't play, but got that wheel hurt, and Amboy's got something for ya. Go Profushan in the Hemi, which is my white car. Nanny Seedlit in Pidlantes, you play to pay. You break the cycle of the Lantons. Joy to the world, my cast is gone. Done what Jibby Boona say. That's enough from that little concoction. Thank you. I'm ready to take a nap with you. Well, are we in the precipice? Are we at the nadir? Are we at the apex? Are we at the chasm? Are we at the chorus? Are we at the refrain? Are we in suspended animation, as my dear friend Karl Pope talks about, the time in which we are herded with one another into the time of our own existence as haters towards one another, the hated object, hence I stretch. Hence, if I don't, my back will break. Hence, if I do, so too will the mic. We'll see what happened to the activities. We are stuck. I'll read this. I will read a story to you in prose, an anthem in prose. Oh, I feel better now. Do you? Mm-hmm. It's good when we can relax together. I'm going to do the preamble before a piece of writing that presupposes that anyone really cares. I'm going to preamble and stage the poem, put it in its place, its context, its moment. This is a story. Virgil wasn't always so fair. In fact, he was a towering brown body, lording over that little dandelion who still haunts him or signifies. That poem is too traumatizing for everyone involved. We're not reading that. We could. I don't know what if I brought enough. We might have to. No, this is good because this is a fun poem. This is a city poem. Oh, it's really bad. I don't know why I brought all this really horrific stuff for you. I meant to bring good cheered work, but I'll read. Oh, dream. This is good. It's a dream. Virgil understands that when he runs... Oh, and that's good because Kurt, and I don't remember the other dear photographer's name, where they're talking about Connecticut along with Carl. So, oh, yeah, Connecticut. Connecticut piece. Connecticut. Virgil understands that when he runs through the humid morning mist of summer trees near the Connecticut River on this trail, he realizes his vision. It has taken so many months, but finally he has abandoned the force of the being yelled at yoga to become involved in his own quiet practices. And in this shift, Virgil learns to slow down. He doesn't even mind that the two chatter joggers that slip by him, symmetrical whites and symmetrical gray, black sweats, caps, headphones, discussing the travails of some shared friend. Virgil thinks of filming the field of crops as backdrop, the empty bike trail, but sadness? He does not understand that the Connecticut River is too shallow to dive into, and there is a difference between the currents of one section of the river. One looks plastic flat, the other like a moving wound rust, and the next that each of the textures of the river reflect his mood, so much so that this jettisons his perception from the river to the realization in how long a drop it is to the yellow moss on the steel he looks down into while crossing the bridge. To have a unique relationship To have a unique relationship with his body in space is how he opens up on the run. It's how he theorizes in the space between what's close and what's distant. This manifests in the stunned feeling one confessed getting after reading Virgil's work. Butch says, everyone wants to talk to you. Narcissist Virgil knows it might be because of his new glasses. Oliver Peoples, the brown and gray custom staggered frames matte brush that matches skin clear in between the sections. They make him look warm and approachable. Love told him this, and it makes him feel nice, though he is not really nice, like when he asks Butch, should I steal her wallet? Or maybe he is nice because he would not actually steal from old curly white lady's glancer, who edges her eyes into his sketch pad, as she also does so into the seat next to him. On the ferry, she tells her husband, Kane, walking bald splotch, to be careful, honey. Old curly white lady glancer Virgil and Butch watch him, barely balancing in the ticket line, sticking out his tongue and strain. Virgil sees old curly white lady glancer's butterscotch wallet in her bag, whose design he does not recall this, and Kane walking bald splotch's mahogany cane, and the white brace surrounding his calf like a vase. Before breakfast at Jake's on the benches outside, a little blue boy asks Virgil, sees him sketching, and asks if he can look at his work. Virgil is generous and opens his pad, leafing through the pages for he and his mom, aunt, guardian to see. The little blue boy does listen to his advice, nods his head when Virgil tells him that it's okay to mess up. The mom, aunt, or art guardian co-signs Virgil's recommendation, and they both follow along as Virgil slowly turns his pages, describing how in one he scraped all the paint off with his Costco card to reveal the original marks, a flat black figure in magenta, a white man's face caught by water-soluble pink and pastel. Virgil, as ever, is invested in the capture of depth's solitary surface. Though he isn't a lone wolf, he understands that performing as one who is almost alone garners his unique relation to being isolated among others. For Virgil, this is a kind of first source. And from this source, he tries to explain to music that Western Mass has never looked so beautiful to him before now. The trees are so wet and present, and so monolithic, vastness that can simply be read as field, but still they appear as full, thick, and angular, singular, like one green corridor he jogs through. But in looking up, Virgil realizes any sense of actual height is too tall to track. When he lived alone, closer to the trees, he was only familiar with existing above them, driving Desiree on US 90 like Manitoba, but much more affordable, and knowledge, blue, not passion red, though the mountains looking up at them so that the trees were only texture. For now, they are still only color. But that morning, staring into them, he felt that he was attached to the trees as corollary object, his body existing in relation to their wetness, the sound of their dripping around him. This is not the sensation Virgil's and Butch's neighbors reveal in New York when one complains after a windstorm, I hate coming home to a forest. Take a drive through Belle Terre is how Butch wants to answer, revealing the class understanding he would like to give to his neighbors. But the white fats next door are loud and stupid enough in the heat of summer to cut and clear everyone of any shade. They fear the crack of the trees, some crashing on our houses, on our cars. What they want to destroy is precisely what Virgil, his energy and privacy at desk, his popping on the synthetic wooden deck to Pandora, Egyptian lover, baby, Egyptian lover, Egyptian, and afraid of a single splinter in his foot. No need for cover, save the trees. But in the dream, there is a woman who is covered, half-formed under a white tarp. Is she alive? Is she mourning? What they want to destroy is precisely what gives Virgil his energy. Virgil finds himself in a panic. He doesn't know how to let in this half-formed being under the blanket, and he is still between sleep and the place in which the dream becomes an imagined black gay club in New Orleans. The patrons inside are wearing steel woven masks, the tips shaped in silver horns for eyes. The club is dark and, like the trail, also wet and dripping, and the room too is a corridor. Clearly this is the inverse of the world of his morning run. So too the trees, and the world in retrospect is suddenly dark. As in, Virgil that morning runs by Black Lives Matter lawn signs in the whitest greenish place where he actually once lived, and since this is his first time actually running where he recalls only driving, he finds it difficult to find his way, though he is reminded of the possibility of the beauty in life when he receives a text video that shows little I.T. running, counting her own steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The last little foot step hitting the launch pad to release the neon foam rocket in the air. Then it's slow-mo, gliding horizontally into the shady afternoon. On the trail, another brown runner floats by, and though Virgil is clearly a fatter version of him, he thinks that though he is only slightly flabby, Virgil keeps on his shirt. He is happy that his body does not shake much as he runs. Who would ever know that Virgil's dreams were so wet and black? 2, he is drinking something in the dream, but he can't recall what. Only writing it down quickly, but not knowing to get back into the dream. We're just going to have to take a little commercial. I am just so exhausted. You know, this is work. This is not a podium. This is not a mic stand. So I just have to take a little arm break. So where were we in this little story? Oh, someone's just getting out of a dream. I'm going to get right back into this in a minute. I just have to stretch this arm out. Hurts a little bit. Okay. No, just not a little stretch here. Like, you know, you swimmers, you know, working out the servature. You know, that's why we have those potencies. We discover why we have these things. They set us up. They set us up as these para-performers. Para-performativity, you know it. You know, J.L. Austin, the sentence, reading around the sentence. Okay. Moving from table to table in a large club, Virgil recalls instead an endless set of them. And around these tables, he moves and waits in line after line of people that he knows, poets mostly, and most of them black, M, K, S, etc. Of course, in his freedom, he tracks a related sequence, a bobcat on a trail that enters the bush, a house cat peeking behind a glass door, a bird washing itself in a hand. Once in the city, so long ago, Virgil met a member of the press, a paparazzi lurker, who did not fuck him, but laid his long cock along his back, where his crack and shot come on him above it. He was with him twice, and both times caught crabs. But this was not as important as his advance to the very young Virgil. Member of the press, a paparazzi lurker, said, "If you want to write, write. What is the difference between the outside and the inside of the dream that can only be explained in the pitch of darkness that fills the room in the vision of blue and black menacing? This threat manifests as black nylon luggage, and in it cords, flash drives, and speakers that shake as he looks at them. These things are not permanent, yet they are there. What is the material in his? What surfaces does he own? Virgil remembers he was not reading on the stage, but he was on it, an intervening MC who says something like, "How can you play a set during the middle of someone else's performance?" It's true. A band began to play in the middle of the reading, and there Virgil was, helping out Cam Quiet DJ, the two of them greeting one another on the stage, heads touching together, black hair above the middle of the floor. Virgil trying in a way so desperately to get him to see what he needed to do, but this was not possible because the speaker, even held up against the mic, did not amplify Cam Quiet DJ's voice above the band's antics. In the end, how did Cam Quiet DJ have a chance at sharing his work? The only other black reader to read was the as usual, or to the as usual, largely all-white audience. When Virgil thinks of the video of K&P, how they revealed how funny the two blacks, getting adoration from the white a cappella campus group, the way they said "niggs" right in front of each other's faces, is what in the dream, as in life, brings him together in solidarity with Cam Quiet DJ. In retrospect, these divergent yet intersecting stories, Virgil writes the opening lines to the fellowship application that he imagines. Dear committee members, I have traumatized mind and body, seek the time and space to sleep, to not travel to any exotic locale, travel inwards, a journey through the trauma of my own existence to find others. In fact, what I am hoping to do is to not work on a recognizable project, but to move the material outside, inside, to create bridges from the one non-existent plane to barely another. Hence, for the sake of impossibility, I need to think of a direction, albeit rooted through the vectors of the unconscious, to return to the site of abjection. Just to see or seek is all. Thus, I submit the space of my body and mind as a site of inquiry. And at the same time, the tacit understanding is that this might all lead down the path that leads to my own heart, however injured, however inured. An unknown white woman from a circle of those crying enters the dream. And she, like all of the rest, are waiting to use the bathroom, which turns out to be an impossibly small stall. There is a plunger visible in the bathroom that is actually a music box or a cabinet. And Virgil opens it. He realizes that he can't go in, and why? It's too small. But beyond this, a woman in a suede boot up to her knees slides her foot in the toilet, kicking in the waste which wants back out, and Virgil is disgusted by seeing her brown suede knee-length tasseled boot, no sole, working in as a makeshift plunger. Virgil, suddenly caught up with this entourage, ditches the line. A few people who surround him congratulate him for saying what he has said on the stage, that is, how dare they play the music when the only other black besides him in the room is reading his work? Is this the subject of the dream? Is this the penultimate plot? Its actions or activities emitting from this encounter, this center? Virgil isn't sure, but somehow he knows if he is to understand the relationship of dreaming to content, he must, like he told that little blue boy, to not worry if you mess up. But what he does not intuit is that the worry of messing up will return. The unfinished business of intention will pull him into the void, break him apart, so he will exist as a wandering subject. The little boy demonstrates this himself at Jake's as he walks back and bangs on the closed bathroom stall door behind which was Butch. When he decided to scrape away what was once there on the sketch pad, Virgil rid himself of the expected surface to reveal what came up by accident. Only the single cricket realizes it's singing. This is the sound before the symphony of them begin to play, and the song comes to the ugly, silent cave crickets, have no idea what is coming. Before Virgil attacks one, he plots from the stairs that leads to the basement, smashed by the Swiffer's naked rubber bottom, flat, the small broken fragment of the insect corpse, no blood, only a small space where half of its body was, and Virgil above this absence now will build. We have one last thing do. One last thing to do before this all comes to some kind of other opening.
But we know, we find it very strange.
But we know, you find it very strange. But you know, we find it very strange. But you know, we know, we know, we find it very strange. But we know. We find it very strange, but we sing. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know, we know.
I find it very strange,
but we know.
I find it
very strange.
We know, we know, we know, we know, we know, we know. I find it very strange, but we know.
We find it very strange, but we know. I watched a movie the other day where the villain was gored. Maybe you've seen the movie, it stars Sean Penn. It's a little cult classic, he's ripped to the nines. There are lots of opportunities, like a shed inside a horse. No, it's a stable for bulls. He finds medicine to pack a wound before the villain is shot and gored by a bull.
We find it very strange, but we know. We find it very strange, but we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, we know. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, but we know. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, but we know. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know, we. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, but we know, we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, we know. We know, we know, we know. I find it very strange. I find it very strange, but I know. We find it very strange, but we know. We find it very strange, but we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, we know. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, but we know. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know. I find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, but we know. We know, we know, we know, we know, we know. find it very strange, but we know. I find it very odd, but we know. I find it very or I'm on. I will see you. I will see you.
Carl told me that this poem rocks. "16, Lucy looks. Where the fan blows a red thread into the room, it is where I think. I can't wait to let myself speak, my eyes grown over with moss, my sight caught under a tree. There is under this a radiance that breaks open the day, dull buzz against the heat of the afternoon against which I crouch. Light sticks to the cloth and burns into the clutch of white, egg specks on the green shirt I hung to dry, my body in sonar, the shot of one word bounce from my face back, from my shirt, the shirt, to the black who was looking at my little mouth. "17, Lucy and freedom. If I think about my own unwinding, I can see my freedom in relation to the bug flipped in the street, its wings soft from dying in the envelope, in the night, its color then against the white of my room, bouncing against the walls, brown and quick. I'm not sure if its kind matters, smacking against the ceiling to escape hardness. I thought about it charging my body, the speed, and ruining the neon bulb. Tricky spinner, I thought the noise I could deal with. But the point when I realized I was done, it fell in my bed. It didn't want to be caught, but it had to be captured. The towel work snapped in the air, trapped in a gray cap filled with foam below the flap, more tape sealed. I'm not sure why I decided to bake it over the bulb. Maybe because of all the scratching there in a body, inside of a body. I did not think of that then, but I think of it now. 18, Lucy and life. One last push against paper, trap, heat, and hate. I decide to release you into the street, your wings baked into your back, and you wobble. Did you fight as I wrestled in sleep? Did you rest in the envelope, think of death scratching through the night, the bulb baking you into you? The unrest of one animal sounds like the squeak of a cricket, a rat, and the smell of skunk hovers in my room. I think my skin is too soft for killing, but my fingers remain hard and hit like hammers. Fog collects below the trees in the ropey air, and I wind in. There are no shadows, no sound. Insect, in fact, snagged from the earth. You will not fly, wings seared, and still I want to crush your body. Pull you close or pull your head off tonight, small and alone in my whiteness. The world is not bigger than my safety in it, and the river runs behind. 19, Lucy wakes. The silt in my mind, shadows in the bushes, but the water from the spring in the jug gathers around light. I bloat. I'm cold in the night. What have I eaten? Wind in my voice, breath in where the force is overt, me, gravity, depth, hair, to be lost, fragments still float, the pieces circle, collect, a billowing in the dirty water, to undo I swim, but the leech attached to a star unhinged is sight. I have been here before, awoken at the edge of gaps that grow in the green moss, under the water, where my eyes flatten. "22, Lucy's truth. What's coming from that smack of 2x4s? I feel hogtied and shocked into numbness. I can't erase the kind of black I am. No face, only a body wrapped and in the street of arms. What propels me is how I don't have to see that piece of meat in the store. As it's black on the curb, the thought does not make me want to vomit. I remain thin in my face, and the fan pushes the heavy air. My hope the pressure will reach where I want to go outside to run. My body under another sky in the day will race up the impossible hill. Is there anyone up there where the siren finds its hole? Being among you is mostly a feeling where there's no visible net, and you're so bound on the pond of film. I'm not sure if this is something that comes from seeing the distance between my own body and his roped up. Today I saw another black, curly-haired in crimps, large and round, hair thick, round, wound spirals. I got jealous. She was playing with a little white boy on a unicycle. I don't feel strange about their positions. My mouth cannot hold what it chews. It is my history too. The piss that falls from between my legs, it fills the grass and now soaks and is also inside me. Roses curl up above the other flowers, but above them all, my matte pink face. We're getting there at the time when this will all end. I want to thank you so much to Factory Call and Shantae too, and everyone who's helped me to come here all the way from another side of my unconsciousness, which was the metaphor for Long Island or Santa Cruz, both near two bodies of water, one the Sound, the other the Pacific that I peered into. And though I found myself with you today, I'm happy here. Triangulated my desire with Mari Evans and Carl Pope and this fantastic curation. I want to thank you for having me here today. It means everything for me to have the first night's sleep since Christmas, such a long time, where my body collapsed when I woke up at 4 and made a little video for you, was terrorized by the possibility of a series I too curate. Though I'm thanking you from this heart that is an avatar, or perhaps a schism, or just plexiglass. And perhaps it's bulletproof, or maybe it's transparent, all the same. The industriousness of this has the syllabic no shame. For the mumbles and the stutters and the gaps we make, for the illness and the cancers that have wound our fates, for the lives of all the percentages that we might read over a holiday, for all the ones that have been lost and found in here, for poetry's veneer, for all of its circumstance. I'm impassioned at the happenstance, coincidence. And so you know the way I started was to try to find a focal point. It is that poetry and its inertia can solve all of the world's problems, and so too can art and law and science and other degrees, a radius away from our enemies. And perhaps you saw the flatness in the film you saw in Baltimore at the airport, where I saw this person who will go unnamed, though his flesh is finely hidden from our own secrets of occasion. Though we voted with derision, how will we paralyze our moments into paralysis? Will we look across the table here and say that art is always near, or queer or dear to our hearts as someone who is slain by bullet in the back? Or do you know the sound after Freddie Gray was killed, that the screams are captured in a play I saw by Anna DeVere? Somewhere in New York, before I was there, I could do this forever. I'm rewinding just like that dance because I found a focal point. So this ending is not an ending, but a beginning of the sphere. A kind of palimpsest. I hope that I'm sassing it in sections for you, dear Carl. And I hope that I have done some service here with Mari Evans in the house and all the stratosphere. And what I will say is that I realize the inversion of the books. On their sides make for the space for water, force, inertia to move us through. It is not vertical that our realities must lie, but the horizontal which leads us across the divide. And there'll be no stepping or no stumbling, so that when you look at all the professionals that are soothing,
Will you tell them they do not have to replace who's there? Oh, yes, they do, with all they have to give. So I won't end with a poem, but I will end with the open, which is an anagram of the same. I will say, do I know you? I know the space perhaps a little bit more, the approximation of love that I'm cultivating in here. And somehow will I say goodbye, and somehow will I say hello, and somehow will I say I have left you there, all of it here and all of it there. I will say bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye. Bye-bye, bye. Bye. Thank you.